Your lighting is so much better than mine.
No.
Well, we've been at this for almost a year, both from our home. So I at least got this. Try to get this part looking halfway decent by now.
There you go. How you guys doing?
Not too bad.
We're surviving. We're
Yeah.
talking to you, so now we're really good.
I'm with you. I'm with you 100%.
With Beers and Sunshine, I know you've probably told the story a million times, but we would like to ask, where were you? What were you thinking? And what were you drinking when that song came about? And obviously, I think the answer will be beer, but you can tell.
I was actually drinking red wine.
Okay.
We wrote
Really?
that song. I was having a writing session. I just moved to Nashville. I think I'd moved to Nashville about 2 or 3 days. And I just moved here, and I had a writing session, and it was later in the afternoon. And so I was, doing that first few months of COVID, you would find yourself having a beer or drink at like some really crazy hours, but I was having a glass of wine, and we were writing it, and it was just, I was writing with like 3 buddies of mine, and it was one of those songs that just wrote itself. Once we started it, and once we got that, the only BS I need line, everything else just came.
Like,
Yeah.
It's so good.
Thank
It's such a happy song for when you're writing it, such like a not exactly happy time.
You're right. You're right. And I think we wrote it as a happy song because we were all so confused. It'd only been a couple months into the pandemic, and we were waiting for it to end at any minute, and it wasn't going to end. And so we were just, and we knew everybody was down and everybody was home. We were like, let's just write something fun. And then after we wrote it, it was like, let's get it out as fast as we can.
Isn't it funny at the beginning of this whole thing? Like when you look back now, it's almost been a whole year. Like we did think like, oh, I'm gonna go home from work for a couple weeks and then we'll get back to normal. And here we are, almost a year later. It's like, what is going on, man?
Oh, it's crazy, man. I was in Europe doing the country music festival, and when it all went down in March, and then we get back home, and I'm thinking, okay, we'll be, they rescheduled for October. I was like, all right, we'll be back in October. Everything will be fine. And because if you had told me in 2019 that 2020 was going to happen, I would have never believed you.
Right.
No one could have ever thought of this, right? Like this is so crazy. Can we talk about the song Wagon Wheel for a second?
Sure.
Because I sing it to my son. I absolutely love the song. I know it's not appropriate for a mom to be singing to the son, but it's like Rock Me Mama, right? And I'm like, this is not right. Like these words are. I thought this was fascinating because Bob Dylan wrote it. I didn't know this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Am I correct? And then tell us the whole song, so we want.
Bob Dylan wrote the chorus part.
Okay.
And he was writing that Pat Garrett. He was writing the music for the Pat Garrett movie back in the early 70s, and he had just written that, and then he never did anything with it, and they put it on one of those big compilations where they have all the outtakes and all that stuff. And so just a little snippet was on there, and Catch the Core, who's in Okra Medicine Show. He was 17. I always tell him only a 17-year-old kid would do this. He was 17 and decided he was going to finish a Dylan song. And he wrote the verses. And, it was big for them, and it was really big for me.
So we asked those 3 questions. Where were you? What were you thinking? What were you drinking when you heard that song? Like,
I was a kid. I mean, I heard it, not a kid. I guess I was a lot younger. I heard it when it first came out. It was such a big, club song. It's such a big song in the South around frats and clubs and stuff like the bars and stuff like that I knew the song for years before I ever thought about cutting it.
Nobody cuts it like you, by the way. It was like then you sing, and it was like da 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 da.
Oh, thank you.
But it is pretty wild to think about something that was kind of half done like so long ago, and then didn't become a hit for years and years and years and years, and then all of a sudden, I mean, that's how you really know that a lot of music really is or can be timeless, and that's pretty much the goal that you're going for with any song, right? Is to have something that's timeless.
Absolutely. Anytime you write a song, you want it to be that song that you believe 100 years from now they're going to still be listening to.
We hope so. And I think Wagon Wheel is definitely, it's good.
Wagon Wheel, I think, is one of those songs. Yeah. That one might make the Library of Congress. I don't know.
And we also heard you talking about how Hootie and the Blowfish would never make it in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I was like, how is this
no chance?
Because
why?
We were 25 years last year and didn't even get nominated.
We're going to petition.
Yeah, we need to start this change.org.
I don't get it's so I told the story and because it made me mad when it happened, but CNN did this documentary of 90s music. And I mean, they talked about one hit, like bands that had one hit that I didn't even remember they talked about, and they did not mention Hootie and the Blowfish once.
How?
You're like they're over here talking about Chumbawamba, and you're like, what about?
Yeah, they talk about Chumbawamba and didn't mention Hootie and the Blowfish.
Stupid tub thumping.
It was funny for me because the producers were Gary Getzman and Tom Hanks, and so I came out and I said, blank Tom Hanks. somebody, and I love him too, and I'm such a big fan, and I didn't mean it. I was just joking around. And somebody was like, "Well, why would you say that about Tom?" Well, I was like, if I said blank Gary Getzman, no one's gonna know who I'm talking about.
That is too funny.
So true. Well, we're gonna petition because we
Yeah.
saw that, and I was like,
Right.
"Come on, how is that?"
I mean, gosh, yeah. I mean, that was just the theme to my younger years was nothing but Hootie and the Blowfish, man. So I always try to give a shout to those who are serving, and in this time period that we're in, it's not always just men and women in uniform. We're talking teachers and doctors and nurses. So is there anyone specifically like close to you that you want to give a shout out for this?
I mean, I'm on the board of the Children's Hospital and stuff and things like that. And so to all the first responders, to all the people, the police officers and and everybody who's out there, the paramedics, the nurses, the doctors, police, the teachers, the people working at Walmart, the people that are working at grocery stores, these people that are essential workers, to all of them, I just want to send my love and say, thank you for keeping us all going through all of this.
So we also have this thing called Hold My Beer, and we talk about hold my beer moments. Can you think of anything that just comes to the top of your mind?
You probably had a lot of them throughout the music career, but
I've had a few hold my beer moments.
Any fun ones that stick out that you could share?
That's not too X-rated. Oh goodness gracious! I don't. Yeah, not that no. No, I'm like everyone that comes to mind. I was like, I can't say that. I can't tell that story.
Here's what I love, actually, Darius. You're literally thinking God knows what in your head right now, and the words that come out of your mouth are "goodness gracious." Oh, goodness gracious!
That's the Southerner in me right there. Goodness gracious.
Well, yeah, he knows that. He's like, look, I'm all in with this country thing now, and part of that is being super family friendly.
Exactly. You can't even be PG. You gotta be G-rated.
Yeah. We've been trying to push the limits a little bit since we're on at night now, but it's like it's still every once in a while you'll get someone complaining about something that seems kind of innocent, but
innocent. I know you're still innocent. I know.
We make a lot of fart jokes, and sometimes people don't like those.
That's okay. I love fart jokes.
While we're talking comedy, we also we try to bring a stand-up comedian on every night as well. So who do you have a favorite stand-up that we could get on the show? Like who's your go-to?
I like a lot of guys. I like Callan. I like Kate Quigley. I like Joey Diaz. I like Donnell. I like a lot of comics. I listen to like comics. I listen to that comedy thing on XM radio. So I love comics.
If you could travel back to any time era to go see a certain artist, who would it be and what time era?
There's a big tie here. I've had this question. It's a big tie. Go back to the 70s to see Marley. I would go back to the 60s to see the Beatles.
Yeah.
Or I would go to 1964 and see Frank Sinatra live at the Sands.
Those are all
right. Yeah, love it. Very specific. Yeah.
Could you handle the crowd though at the Beatles? I mean, that's got to be insane. Being in the crowd.
You got to figure if you go to the Cavern Club or something like that, it's just seeing the band in the club. It wasn't the Beatles yet, And even if we had the technology back then, we have today, those you wouldn't hear the crowd because you'd be hearing the band. Like they were playing in Shea Stadium, they were playing through the PA announcer. the PA announcer thing at Shea Stadium. You can't do that for a concert.
Yeah, that would be pretty tough to listen to.
Yeah, I want to go back to
like
when they were playing clubs.
Yeah. Oh my God, that would be incredible. And this might be in this kind of the same realm. If you could be someone else for a day, who would it be?
If I could be anybody for a day, who would it be? Good question. If I could be anybody for a day.
It's hard when you're Darius
That's
Rucker
hard.
because
That's
it's
hard.
good to be you.
Yeah, I like me, but
what's something that you would want to experience that maybe you can't as you?
It'd probably be definitely a woman. So I would probably be like Condoleezza Rice or somebody, or some really, or Vice President Harris, just some really powerful woman, and just see what that was like.
Be a badass.
And it's good for a guy to get that perspective as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Because we just don't get it, We're like
we're really dumb. In case you're wondering.
Also, this one's pretty good too. Speaking of powerful women, the name Karen has gotten a bad rap in this past year. Do you know? Is there any Karens that are doing good things that you know of that you can tell us about, so we can give Karen a good name?
No,
just the fact that you're calling her Karen makes it not a good thing.
No, but like a woman actually named Karen.
Yeah, we're looking
like,
for yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, do you have like an Aunt Karen down the road?
Fulton Campbell, his wife Karen Campbell, she does a lot of volunteering up in Columbia, South Carolina. So Karen is doing great. Karen Campbell's doing great things. Yes.
All right, there it is. Campbell. That's why Karens are good. Karen Campbell.
We are celebrating Black History Month, and we want to talk to you about, when you're thinking about Black History Month, what are some of the country artists that you're thinking of?
Oh, Reese Palmer, Charlie, of course, Trini Triggs. That was the thing for me. That was a shock when I started making hits, and they were like, no one's had a hit since Charlie Pride. I thought Trini Triggs or, Reese or somebody would have had a hit, at least a top 25 hit, but I think I think of the Ford Bailey, member of the Opry back in the day when I'm sure that was tough to be a member, but he was out there doing it. And the Charlie is the guy you think of because he was such a pioneer. And none of us would be sitting here getting to make the music we're making if Charlie hadn't sacrificed and done the things he did and made the great music he did.
And kind of to piggyback that question as well, like, who were your biggest influences when it come to being an artist? I know that we saw the segment you did with Jimmy Allen, and it was really touching that, he said you were my guy, and I didn't know it was possible for someone who looked like me until you. So is there anyone like that in your life? That
made me cry. That was amazing. But for me growing up, Al Green was my first musical influence. But then I started growing up, and Charlie was big. Even when I got older, Lenny Kravitz. When Lenny Kravitz came on the scene, I was like, man, I could do that. He's doing it. And it was guys like that. Hendrix. I remember my brother was a jerk growing up, and he went on and got one of those 6 albums for a penny that you got back in the days from the CBS Record Club, and he gets Hendrix Greatest Hits, and he hates it, and he gives it to me, and he was like, "Here, you can have this." Like he was being a jerk. I was like, "Thank you."
hey, this. I don't know if you can see this, but that's why this is here. Like the old, I'm a huge Hendrix fan, man. That was like my.
I was like, "You're crazy, man. This is great. Every minute of it is great."
Absolutely. I've never heard anyone say they hated Jimmy Hendrix.
Yeah, that's shocking me. I'm like, Yeah, but you never met my brother.
There are always debates on, people talk about like the greatest guitar player, and
there's no debate.
He's to me,
there's no debate.
If you ask,
everything they do, Jimmy did first.
That's kind of the way that I look at it, and that's why I love, because you're such an innovator. But some people will go, oh, he was kind of sloppy, like, and it's just, but it was like, but he was the first. When you're the first one to do it and come along and like really blow people's minds, I mean, you got to give him credit, right?
Yeah. I always do. They don't have to, but I'm going to.
Absolutely.
I have one more question. Speaking of Jimmy, what are some new up and comers that we should be looking at and listening to? And
You know,
doing,
Willie
like,
Brown, I'm a big fan of, of course, Jimmy, Mickey. There's a kid, I think his name is Zach Webb. He's out of Texas. He's friggin' awesome. I think he's gonna really get a good shot and be big. But it's for me coming in when I came in 14 years ago, and being told I would never get played because I was a black artist, and now to see all these kids getting these record deals and having hits and everything, I'm just happy to see it.
It's good to see the evolution of everything.
Absolutely,
yeah.
for sure.
Man, well, we love it all, from Hootie to all the brand new Darius stuff.
Thank you, guys.
I can say myself, I've been a fan since I was a kid. So love what you're doing, and thanks for taking some time with us.
All right, great talking to you guys, man. That was fun.
We love you. And we're going to sign a petition. I'm not kidding.
Change.org.
Listen, change.org.
I hope it works.
We will be there. We will be there with like flags and like signs and stuff.
There you go.
We love you.
Later.
Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, make sure to like and subscribe and hit that bell for all notifications from radio.com. While you're at it, why don't you check out some of our other great videos.